This episode is brought to you by Baby Ethereus. You may have heard of Ethereus, the Ethereum mining income token, but Baby Ethereus is a hyper-deflationary token on the BSC chain that provides great opportunities and rewards for Ethereus token holders. Baby Ethereus has gone from $300,000 market cap to over $5.7 million in 1 hour. Stake Baby Ethereus and get raffle tickets that enter you to win a 2022 Tesla Model 3. Visit babyaeth.com for more information. Link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis, who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis, yeah.
Welcome to my two Satoshis with Default, giving you another market analysis video. Today we're going to look at several charts, starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, total market cap, S&P, and we're also going to look at interest rates. Starting off with Bitcoin, the only thing I could say is, it was all good a week ago.
It was all good just a week ago.
Right now, it doesn't look promising at all. Honestly, I could see the price below 40K. I'm going to show you why. The last time I did a video, we actually broke out of this symmetric triangle bullishly. And after we did, we started to consolidate. And then we got some negative news out of the EU. They passed a law stating basically that most wallets that are using the EU will have to be KYC'd. Got that news, and really since that news, we just have been losing value. We invalidated the symmetric triangle that we broke out of. That had me, a lot more optimistic that we will see higher prices and that we would get a larger retrace, potentially seeing, the 50% fib or the 618. All we could muster was the 382. I loaded high, got to 382, reversed. Typically, you in a bear market, if it's a real bear market and you have, a very weak market, you'll see these lower fibs hit and reverses back to the downside. Also has me somewhat, not somewhat, a lot more bearish at the moment and expecting to see, lower prices. Is, we had that false breakout to the upside. Now we're actually breaking down using the pattern as resistance. Last couple of days, we're just trying to get back into that pattern, using as resistance. So now we can use the measure move actually to the downside of this pattern. You can see that the measure move is around, this support around 31,645. Again, not bullish at all. Another thing that I was pointing out on Twitter was on the Coinbase chart. I still had this trend line from February, stated that even if, I kept saying how 44,600 was such a critical resistance to break, but even if we broke that resistance, that I would like to see us break this trend line, this trend line, this blue trend line here, because it could potentially be a bear flag. And as you can see, we tested that area and we reversed. The support for this bear flag is all the way down at 36,000, about 36,800. Again, just not bullish. Another thing is just there's nothing indicating a reversal there's no bullish divergence, no seller exhaustion that would have me believe we would pivot and run to the upside. We did actually have a bullish divergence on the 4 hour, and we really just had, a scrub rally. And I don't even think it went, it might have went up about 3%. And then, you gave back all those gains. You did the bullish divergence on your MACD and RSI, but nothing that is sustaining, higher prices. And we're back at those lows, and we're about to break those lows again on the lower time frame. So typically you'll see lower prices, and that's just not a positive development. And we're actually just looking at the indicators again. You're actually making, if you start to get negative momentum, you will be confirming actually hitting bearish divergence. This is all typical price action of a weak market. It just doesn't look bullish right now. You had your high and then you had your lower high, but you had higher amounts of momentum on the MACD. You had a higher point on your RSI, which is, again, if you've been watching these videos, you should know by now that's hidden bearish divergence. So what do I need to see for, to get more optimistic that we'll actually see higher prices to the upside? You have to pivot. You have to pivot before you break these lows around 37,000. I'll say 37,000 650. If you get, you get back down to these areas and you close below them, what you are hoping for is, before you get to these areas, you pivot to the upside. You start losing negative momentum on your MACD on your daily, and also on your RSI on a daily. And, that will be signaling some hidden bullish divergence on the daily. But also combined with that, on your 4-hour, you will want to be, having, again, maybe you do sell off and then you get some actually lower amounts of negative momentum on your MACD, lower amounts of negative momentum again, and have triple bullish divergence. That's really the only hope right now you really can hope for with Bitcoin. But I mean, honestly, it looks weak. Looking at the weekly, you had a nice little rally. You just another lower high. And so you break these lows. I mean, if you break 36,300 on a weekly, I mean, probably going to be testing these lows again. And that's not bullish at all. Looking at, on a monthly, you really want to stay above 35,000. This last close on a monthly and last 2 months have been, positive. But if you are starting to engulf the price action of these last 2 months, is just negative. It's just not positive. And then you will be in danger of having this double top pattern playing out. One of the first videos I did, I pointed this out, and right now it's just still a possibility. But that's all I have for right now for Bitcoin. I mean, if Bitcoin is doing bad, I mean, usually everything in the crypto market is doing terrible. Where Bitcoin has invalidated that symmetric triangle to the upside, Ethereum is still above it. You can see consolidating on lower time frames right now. We'll scroll in a minute. Just give you the fibs of price, whereas retrace to, Bitcoin had a 382. Ethereum has been outperforming. It's hit the, the 50% fib. And it didn't have any indication, like on your indicators, that it was going to roll over or anything like that. But just that news for the EU and Bitcoin's price action just has rolled back. Actually, I think there was on the 4-hour on Ethereum, there was bearish divergence on your MACD and on your RSI. So kind of tipped you off that there was going to actually be at least a pullback. And now you see on the 4-hour, we have that impulse down, and now you're just consolidating. On lower time frames, that's usually not just lower time frames. Anytime you have an impulse down and you consolidate, unless you break out of it to the upside, you're bear flagging. Just with Bitcoin looking the way it does, odds are we are going to be seeing lower prices. And if we do break out of this consolidation bearishly to the downside, odds are you're going to invalidate that symmetric triangle on Ethereum. It was just unfortunate because, I mean, it was looking very strong. Looking at the Ethereum BTC pair, this is one of the reasons I was so bullish on Ethereum. Looking at the larger time scales, looking at the weekly, you were forming, you still are, you haven't confirmed yet, you were forming a hidden bullish divergence in your MACD and on your RSI on a weekly time scale. You had your impulse up, and then you've just been consolidating. I mean, typically that's bullish. You're above a critical, support, came back, tested it, support, and you're just consolidating, break out at some point onto the upside. But with Bitcoin looking the way it does and having, potential prices below 40K, I mean, it's hard to be bullish on any cryptocurrency at this point, unless we do pivot. But, just to show you one of the reasons why I was so bullish on Ethereum, ever since around like $250, been very bullish on Ethereum. We had a inverse head and shoulders on Ethereum BTC pair. We haven't made the measure move yet. The measure move is actually around this peak, around like 12% of a Bitcoin. But, if Bitcoin rolls over and we see lower prices, we see that 30K area again, it's not going to matter much, even if this does break out to the upside. All that will mean is that Ethereum is not selling as much as Bitcoin, but you will still see the USD price lose a lot of value. That was just one of the reasons why I was so bullish on Ethereum. But right now, with Bitcoin performing the way it is, it's hard to be bullish on Ethereum or on the total market cap. Again, it kind of looks like Ethereum's chart, just putting up your fibs. It's performed just as Bitcoin has hit the 382, I believe. You hit the 382 on your fibs, and you're now reversing, and that looks like a terrible weekly candle. And scrolling into daily time frame, potentially forming a rising wedge. After your impulse down, you broke the downtrend, but now it's just like going sideways, upsloping, rising wedge type of action. You break it to the downside. I mean, your total market cap, you're going to be seeing lower prices. And you're probably going to be testing last year summer's lows, which you don't want to be seeing, because just as Bitcoin, that will getting close to confirming a double top as well in your total market cap. Just not bullish price action in cryptocurrency. You know, you had some fundamental news with that EU news, but also what's not only dragging down, you know, cryptocurrency as a whole, but, you know, risk on assets has been interest rates. It's something I've been tracking for a while. Something that you, if you are in your trading markets or your investor, it's something you definitely need to be aware of. This is a 10-year treasury, and interest rates have just been, it actually inverse. If interest rates are rising, it's actually bearish. You're having lower interest rates, it's actually bullish for the market, for your risk on assets. And it's just, you had this impulse up, and you had a consolidation. You did have, as you saw, that was a bearish harmonic pattern. Harmonics deal with flip fibs. That's why it's important tool to understand. The more you understand, you can start to take advantage of the type of patterns. But I'm not going to get into those details. I'm just going to keep this as simple as possible. You had this, you know, consolidation, and you broke out bullishly. You back tested it, used that breakout support, which you didn't do with Bitcoin. You broke down. You already have made your target, and potentially you could be looking at, honestly, a parabolic type of move. If we start to break these next resistance around, you know, 3.27%, it's just not looking positive right now as far as yields. You know, if interest rates are rising, especially at the 10-year, that takes money out of the system. It makes debt a lot more expensive. People that, you know, speculate or investors take less risk due to that. And so you typically see large sell-offs in risk on assets. Also, you had last week your 2-year and actually inverted your 10-year. Why that is important is because anytime that it occurs, typically when you have that inverted yield curve, you typically have a recession within, you know, 6 to 12 months. So it's just, as far as like last week, like I said, it looked great. It looked like we were going to see higher prices, you know, in the crypto market. The stock market was looking a lot more bullish. But, you know, with these interest rate yields rising so rapidly, and I mean, if you break this high around, you know, 2.96%, it just looks like we're going to be seeing, you know, higher debt levels. This looks, you know, another asset you'd be like, oh, this is super bullish, especially if we break this peak. Possibly could be testing. It sounds insane, but, you know, I'm seeing a peak around like 3.7, but really the next really strong resistance is around 5.25%. It looks terrible. I mean, your RSI right now on the monthly is at 84, but you get parabolic runs, this thing can run up to, you know, you could be in the 90s before you reverse. But this is putting a damper on risk on assets right now. And it's one of the reasons why also S&P started to reverse last week. Scrolling to the daily. Last time I looked at this, we were actually breaking out of this downtrend bullishly. And, you know, I was saying that we were probably going to test this area around 45,090, and we did test it. We actually broke above it briefly. Now it's actually selling off again. There wasn't anything indicating on your, you know, on the daily or on your 4-hour actually that we were going to have a sell-off. It's just, you know, it's more fundamental why, you know, these markets are starting to roll over. We're kind of consolidating on the lower time frames. What you want to see is for the S&P is we just, you know, use this area around like 4,400 as support. You pivot and then run back up, breaking this zone, this trend line at around 4,590, and make a higher high and basically contest these highs. But if interest rates are still, rising rapidly, I don't see that happening. It puts this whole, every risk asset at risk, and you will probably see more downside. But that's just what I'm seeing right now within the markets. And before I leave, I just want to add one more chart. It's actually looking at the dollar, because in the cryptocurrency space, there's a lot of chatter that the dollar is dead. We're going to have hyperinflation, and I just want to point out, I've been a dollar bull ever since January of 2021, actually, and you'll see why. Because we actually formed on a weekly time scale. We had a weekly bullish divergence on a weekly time scale, and on your MACD, and also on your RSI. I'm not going to put the RSI. Simply, I just want to scroll through this real quick. But pattern right now, what I was seeing on the dollar right now, is we're actually just consolidating, and we're consolidating after impulse, and we're above, like critical supports. And so what I'm expecting the dollar to do is at least test this trend line around 102.37. And if we do break out of this, the potential upside is tremendous for a currency pair. I mean, it's a 17% move to the upside. This is one of the reasons why you can't listen to narratives, and you should more focus on, or you are speculating on risky assets like cryptocurrency. It's vital that you understand that most people that are out here creating these narratives are not looking at, the technicals. And so, I'm at the very least, I'm expecting to see just come and test this trend line at the very least. If we break it, I mean, the dollar is going to be ultra bullish, and the likelihood of, those risk on assets like your S&P, your stocks, your cryptos are going to be losing a lot of value. But that's what I'm just seeing right now with crypto, with BTC, with Ethereum, with your interest rates and S&P and your dollar. I hope you found this informative. If you like this type of content, just let me know in the comments. And, trying to get a lot more content out here, but I've been extremely busy. I was supposed to go to Miami to the Bitcoin conference, didn't even make it. I've been heavily bombarded with creating this platform that I'm currently creating, but I will try to definitely have another video out midweek to update you on the crypto prices, on our price action. And until next time, stay safe out there, and peace.